Good day, mate. Today I'm going to discuss about a game that I just played against Babenski, which has a higher rating, slightly higher rating than me, which is 1614, where um, on the 20th of December 2017, I've been losing a lot of games because I didn't really concentrate, and my rating is 1604, which is one of the lowest. But I would really like to discuss this game because this is very interesting, and the interesting part of it is actually the opponent is actually checkmated at the corner of the board using bishops and queen because of a very interesting combination and of course directing the play. It is a counter-attack play and it's actually very interesting. It is not a mainline Sicilian and it's not a king's pawn, so let's just get into this. I was black and Babenski was white. 1614 rating, open up with d4 and then I replied with f5, trying to do the bird variation or king's pawn variation or king's gambit variation, that sort of thing. I don't really know the name, but basically it's f pawn, and it is a good one because I enjoy weakening my king side to lure the opponent to sort of psychologically believe that they can attack me from this side, but actually they can't really because it's pretty strong defense there. White continued with e3 and from here I realized that white is opening the diagonal for the queen to go to h5 and then can commence a check, so I want to avoid that. I move my knight to f6 so check can be avoided, and then here white moves bishop goes to e2, and of course if it still wants to continue with attacking from the king side, my king side, just go on. I mean, I've got nothing against it, but let's just distract white for a while. I play a move such as c5 here, which sort of challenge the white in the center. It cannot move forward, it has to defend the pawn or it will be taken. What will it do? It actually moves the pawn to c4 and it's really interesting, but I simply take c takes d4 here, and white should have taken using the pawn at e and this pawn at d, but then instead white moved the queen to d4, and it is not an accurate move, it is inaccurate because white's going to lose a tempo by this move. Knight goes to c6 and then queen has to retreat. So for people who just start playing chess, you probably realize that queen is one of the most powerful major piece, and of course one of the most powerful major pieces, actually this is the most powerful piece, but a lot of mistakes are done by the beginner is to move the queen too many times in the beginning of the games, and it's easily chased up by a simple move such as c6, which is the developing move, but because queen is actually in the center it has to retreat, so white is losing a tempo by moving back to d1. And from here I'm just developing my pieces to grow, so I just move simply e6 here. The function is to open up the dark square black bishop diagonal, which is bishop at f8, so it can move probably to anywhere, so king can castle king side and we have strong defense there. And also this move is actually protecting pawn at f5 at the same time, so it's a double purpose move. So knight goes to c3 here. I simply move my bishop to b4, pinning the knight, and bishop goes to d2, and I simply move b6 here. The idea of b6 is actually to fianchetto my white square, which is the black's white square bishop, to attack the pawn at g2 because it's actually not protected at the moment. So if you can see this pawn, is actually not protected by the bishop here. And of course, here probably my bishop is annoying for white, so it just goes a3 because it's annoying. I simply move it back to e7. The purpose is just to protect the knight at f6, and also not going back to f because it's going to be problematic for the black king to castle later on. White moves e4 here, which is a challenging move, but I think it's a mistake because it doesn't have enough major pieces to support it. It only has a knight at c3, so I just simply take it. So f takes e4. Here we can see bishop g5, probably to weaken the protection of pawn at e4, and I don't really mind if they take the pawn back because the function of my pieces here is actually to develop. That's the task that I have to do. So simply I move my king and my rook to castle, kingside, and here we can see an interesting move, f3. It's opening a lot of spaces, and it's not really nice actually for white. So I simply take this, e takes f3, and here knight takes f3. I can see that there is a possibility that the king can castle kingside, white's king can castle kingside, so I just move my bishop there to b7, and it actually happens. So castling kingside, and I just want to challenge the king here, so I just move my bishop to c5 because it's vulnerable. There is no protection whatsoever, and I suppose let's just do this. So bishop goes to c5, check, and of course what can it do? King can move, or it can be protected by or blocked by pieces such as the knight, and it could be quite strong if it's moving the knight to d4 there, but yeah, take it or not, the king moved to h1, and this is the beginning of cornering the king. As you can see, this bishop is actually covering that area, and then this bishop is actually covering the pawn at g2 and the main diagonal. So I have two bishops eyeing to white king defense, and of course one more thing that needs to sort of put pressure on white king's defense is my queen. So my queen goes to b8, and I don't mind if, for example, so as you can see here, I don't mind, for example, if queen goes to take this one after this one takes, this one can take this one, I can take it back, and queen can of course do this, I don't mind, but of course this is a dangerous move. So that can happen, but at the end of the day, as you can see, my attack is actually very dangerous, and as you can see, white's king is actually in the corner and it's not quite strong. White actually tries to replicate this. It needs to start an attack, and it actually tries a lot of ways, but it doesn't really succeed. For example, a blunder, queen goes to c2. Here it is a good move in a sense, or two, but I believe it's not strong enough. I mean, I know it wants to attack this pawn, and probably, but how to attack it? I mean, it is not coordinated well because of course white dark square bishop is actually there. It's actually this square should be the orange square should be occupied by white's knight. So the pawn at h7 will be vulnerable. But instead, queen goes there, I command the attack here, which is knight goes to g4 is actually pretty strong. What is the threat here? Can you see? The threat here is actually very clear. It's trying to, black is trying to capture the pawn at h2. And if the pawn at h2 is captured, then it's a checkmate because the king cannot escape. And as you can see, it's actually, the king's actually trapped there. The king cannot move to an escaping square g1 because there's a bishop there. And of course, what I have to do next is actually to remove the protection of the pawn at h2, which is the knight at f3. And how do I actually remove this? Of course, I have to do something. And let's just see what white does. What move? Bishop to d3 is a blunder, of course. Why is it a blunder? Because, of course, I know the idea is actually to attack the pawn at h7, but even if it actually attacks that and check the black's king is still escaping well. I mean, it can move very easily to avoid the attack, and then there's no more check after that. So it's not a strong attack. Bishop in front of the queen, should be queen in front of the bishop. And I move my knight here from c to e5. It says that it's a blunder. But I don't think it's a blunder. I mean, it's actually pretty strong. Look at this. So bishop takes a7, which is of course white's plan, check. And king only has 2 square to escape, which is f7 or h8. Now of course it's just simply move there to h8. Now it looks like a symmetrical position, but it's actually not. Do you know that it's actually under fire at the moment? Why is under fire? It should have moved the bishop back to e4 to avoid any checkmate, but it's not strong enough still. My knight is actually eyeing at square and this knight. So this knight needs to be captured. Knight at f3. So the pawn at h2 has no more protection from the knight. At the moment, the knight is still protecting the pawn, and this structural strongness needs to be weakened. And if it's actually weakened, then checkmate is possible. But instead, h3 is done. It's a blunder, I suppose. I simply do this. Knight takes f3, and of course and the best move for white is actually bishop goes there. That's the best move. And simply do this. And there is still some fight, of course. The pawn can take this one and check. Rook can take that one and then check. And then queen goes here. Of course, check. King can go here and then check. King can go here, and of course check. And king can go here and another check. It's a bit perpetual, but and king can go here, and of course like this. It's pretty strong. and there's no good response for that. Has to sacrifice a lot of things. Check. It's actually vulnerable. Another check. Go there, and then it's another check. Queen goes there, and here it goes. Another check. You can go here. There's another check here. If queen takes this one, that's a bad decision, of course. And it's checkmate. That's the long way to do that. But of course, in this game, what happened was, instead of moving the bishop there, of course, white does the inevitable h takes g4, which is wrong. Checkmate. Happened. Queen goes to h2. 20 move game. As you can see, the queen is actually eyeing there, the bishop is eyeing there, and another bishop is eyeing there, trapping the king in the middle. White's king in the middle, so it can't move at all. It's a very interesting trap. Of course, white tries to counterattack but didn't succeed. I suppose what I can learn from this lesson is always try to aim your pieces to your opponent's king, and of course I suppose you can win a lot of tempo by not moving a lot of major pieces early in the game, and of course you can set up tactics and of course strategy to build up and win the game even though your opponent tried to counterattack you. Strong defense and good offense is the key to winning the game. Thank you so much for watching. See ya.